Work with founders and entrepreneurs, and the number one thing that I try to figure out whenever we're doing the onboarding process is what actually makes them feel secure. Because here's the thing, if they constantly talk about how much they make or their title or their businesses, and those are the only things that are really coming up, I know that they're hiding behind all of those things, that they don't genuinely feel secure in who they are. Because if those things were taken away from their identity, they wouldn't be happy with who they are. They don't actually care. They don't actually know who they are at the root, which means that they cannot be comfortable with who they are at the root. And in order for you to actually make things that are representative of you, you need to know you, right? Because when you think about the chakra system, if we're talking from an energetic perspective, the root chakra is all about your internal security, your internal safety, what your nervous system is regulated towards. Here's the thing, after you move on from the root chakra, you get into the sacral chakra. That's where your creativity comes out. That's you making your external world, right? So that external world is always going to be reflective of the internal world. There might be money, but again, money is an amplifier. If they're miserable, it's just amplifying their misery. But that's also going to show up in their companies, in their investments. All of that's going to be reflected back to them until they make a change. That is how they will find the fulfillment. That is how they will find things. And you know what happens when you find fulfillment? You mix that with a little ambition. That's how you get abundance. That is how you create the levels of wealth that you want. That is how you create the relationships that you want. That is how you create happiness as a whole, right? There are so many people that have the money, but they do not feel fulfilled. And they get to this point where they realize, wow, I can buy everything except for happiness, the one thing that matters to me most at this point. And they have to go on this full journey of like, okay, what is happiness? What is actually going to make me want to wake up and live life every day besides the material things in life? And that is always the place that I have to start, is figuring out what actually makes them feel secure. And is it something that's just internal worth, or is it through all of these external things that they've figured out how to get? If any of this is hitting home and you're a founder or an entrepreneur, go ahead and check out the link in my bio for Inner Infrastructure, and let's see how we can work together and how I can help you.